I love the Oscar season. Just the general discussion around which movies deserve what awards and the celebration of cinema, it really makes it the most exciting event for any cinephile. And while all this is well and in good faith, it doesn't always mean the movies that win the awards necessarily deserve it. A lot of things play into which films win the Oscars, hell, even which films are nominated in the first place. Because of course, it is a prestigious event that should speak to the art of cinema rather than solely being there for box office revenue. And that's all well and good until you see a film like Green Book or Coda win Best Picture, when films like Roma and Dune existed in their respective races. That's not to say that these are terrible films, or that they're not worthy to win, but I mean, come on, these were right there. And these types of bluffs really aren't that uncommon, as history has shown us. So the fact that you don't have to be a critical darling nor a box office hit to win these awards, how do these films actually win? The easiest answer to this is promotion. Just like with the big box office movies, directors, actors, and other cast members go on talk shows, panels, and red carpets to spread the word on their films. Added on to that though are special events tailor-made to boost these films' Oscar campaigns. Things like exclusive screenings, table reads, interviews with the trades, and cast Q&As for the voting body themselves. Now, there are some other very creative ways of marketing that I didn't list here, but these are your standard yet crucial promotional events for a film's campaign. See, the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences are the voting body, and with a population that stands just under 11,000 members as of 2024, it quite literally makes each vote count. Most categories are determined by most votes win, with the exception being the Best Picture category, which is determined by a ranked ballot system. Members rank nominees from their most favorite to their least favorite, and the film that receives the majority of the Best Picture vote, 50%, wins. But should a film not reach that 50% mark in the first round, the film with the fewest amount of votes is eliminated. And the members who voted the eliminated film as their number 1 film, those votes now go to their number 2 film to win Best Picture. And this keeps going until a majority is crowned. So with a small pool of voters, limited nominees for each category, and 365 days, you want to keep your film in voters' minds all the time. And the easiest way to do that is with its release date. With voting for the Oscars taking place in February, and the ceremony itself being in March, the most common release date for these films is later in the year, as fall film festivals all over have premieres and red carpets for these movies. Not only allowing these films to generate a word-of-mouth effect coming out of these festivals, but also having a shorter interval between release and voting phase, allowing recency bias to have a far stronger effect for the voters' intentions. Now, it's obviously not guaranteed, and even the past few Best Picture winners came out earlier than usual, but it's a general rule of thumb when distributing to do a limited release in the fall and a wider release in the winter months to campaign efficiently. It's also a reason why Dune 2 isn't doing as strong, as that was released in March. And depending on which company is handling distribution, the monetary aspect absolutely plays a major factor on how these movies are actually going to be seen. Like A24 this year, who've had a number of films worthy of being campaigned for, but ultimately landed on only supporting one of them. Hell, some of them were even bought, a strategy of essentially buying out your competition to make way for the real horse you're backing. All of these aspects and logistics are essential for a film's campaign, but they're not always the reliable factor. The Oscars are absolutely the award ceremony when it comes to films, but it isn't the only one. The other major award shows include the Golden Globes, Critics' Choice, and the BAFTAs. And while this is all great and good, having some kind of variety with their own quirks, considering these shows happen weeks and months before Oscar voting period, it allows some insight to how members of the Academy may vote during their voting period. It's especially important for the award shows for each of the major guilds. This includes SAG, DGA, WGA, and PGA, who obviously comprise a massive portion of the Academy. Take into account last season's Best Actress race between Emma Stone and Lily Gladstone, probably one of the closest coin flip races in a while. It was a lot harder to predict the winner of that race than say the Best Actor race were going into it. It was fairly obvious on who was going to win.
And the Oscar goes to Cillian Murphy.
This year though, that doesn't seem to be a problem for both of the leading acting categories. Now, there are some weird things these shows do, such as this year with Critics' Choice awarding Anora nothing other than a Best Picture win, which is just straight up dumb and weird and doesn't make sense. But these shows generally act as supporting arguments when making predictions on who or which film is most likely winning what award. Even the way they accept the award is very crucial to an Oscar win, as it puts both a spotlight and a microscope right on you for the 45 seconds you're up there. Which is one of the reasons why this year's race has Demi Moore edging out Mikey Madison in the Best Actress race, where she gave a very passionate speech for her Golden Globe win.
Of my wholeness and of the love that is driving me, and for the gift of doing something I love and being reminded that I do belong. Thank you so much.
The same sentiment goes for Timothée Chalamet's acceptance speech in the SAG Awards.
And I know we're in a subjective business, but the truth is, I'm really in pursuit of greatness. I know people don't usually talk like that, but I want to be one of the greats. I'm inspired by the greats. I'm inspired by the greats here tonight. I'm as inspired by Daniel Day-Lewis, Marlon Brando, and Viola Davis as I am by Michael Jordan and Michael Phelps, and I want to be up there. So I'm deeply grateful to that. This doesn't signify that, but it's a little more fuel, it's a little more ammo to keep going. Thank you so much.
And yeah, it makes sense why all these interviews, appearances, and shows matter for a film's Oscar campaign. The number one and probably the most important piece to any successful campaign is its story. The story, the narrative, the motivation. Why should we care about you? Why should you win over your contemporaries? After all, this is an objective numbers game. It's a subjective one. So you could do all the press, you could do all the talk shows, you could do all the Criterion Closet videos, which I love by the way.
Michelle Legrand tying them together in so many ways, but if you look at Umbrellas of Cherbourg and you look at Do the Right Thing, you see artisan dialogue, so French New Wave is coming in the bag.
Jackie Chan box set, you know what I'm saying?
But what it comes down to is why you deserve it. What's your story? Nearly all Oscar winners of years past have some kind of narrative going on with them. Like Nolan sweeping the 2024 Oscars because of him being an industry veteran, near guaranteed box office hit, as well as having made one of the best films of the 2020s. All of that created a perfect storm for Oppenheimer to absolutely wipe the floor. This year's Best Actress race has the classic young star versus longtime vet angle, with both Mikey Madison and Demi Moore. Ralph Fiennes, while given an Oscar-worthy performance, is also getting more love as this is being posited as a Lifetime Career Award, where he's being crowned for both his performance and his contribution to film. Same goes for Sean Baker, as he has an edge over Brady Corbett, considering Corbett is a much more fresh face when it comes to Oscar contention. And the same rings true for the rest of the categories. Now, this narrative thing isn't always seen in a good light. Last year's Oscars had Maestro being called that season's villain, mainly because of, well, a lot of promotion surrounding the film and its campaign.
Do you miss him?
Oh yeah, man.
What do you miss about him?
It's hard to talk about. I don't know, we shared something very special, the four of us. It's hard to even articulate. But he was with us, he was with me certainly throughout the entire time. Which
can become a detriment, but it never usually tanks a film's campaign. What does tank a film's campaign though are things like the Carla Gascon story and her terrible response to all of it. Not that she was really in the running to win anything at all, but it certainly doesn't help its chances in the other categories. Aside from Saldana, who seems to be getting more pity for being in a film with someone like that.
I didn't have anything prepared, you guys. I wasn't expecting this, and especially now.
Either way, the narrative is essential to having a successful campaign, and how much that lands with both the audience and the voting body. Do too much, you're coming off disingenuous. Do too little, you might as well be crossed off. And when it comes to this year's race, we'll see if all these events, award shows, and stories were truly effective in their campaigns. Especially Timothée Chalamet's.
Here we go.